Given the state of the economy and Governor Christie's low approval ratings, what are some reasonable aspirations for this final year in office? Governor Kean?
Well, he started off addressing a drug crisis. I mean, he cares deeply about that personally, and I think he's going to work well with the legislature on that because it's not a controversial issue. But he's laid out the program, and I think the legislature is going to pass it, and that's going to be to his credit and their credit.
What are your thoughts on that, Governor Florio? And is this an issue that could help bring back those approval ratings in the state?
A lot depends upon what the governor chooses to do. Whether he chooses to be activist in trying to address some of the serious problems we have, pension fund, health care financing, school financing, or on the other hand, if he chooses just to run out the clock, that would not be particularly helpful and would not increase his standing in the state.
In his State of the State address, the governor laid out this plan for fighting drug addiction here in New Jersey. How important of an issue is that to take on? Can it be something that can help regain his popularity?
There are few things, if any, there is a consensus on. This is one of them. So this ought to be a no-brainer. There's nobody who's opposed to his position, and to the degree he focuses on it, that's significant.
Let me ask you this, Governor Kean. Insurance companies are going to have to pay for that treatment, and that means costs are going to go up, and the public is going to have to pay in the end with higher insurance premiums. Can that part of the debate be left out in the public discussion on this issue?
No, cost is going to be a big issue, and there's some implications for the drug companies too. The governor feels this in his gut. This is something he cares deeply about. He's had friends who've been impacted, and so I think he's going to drive ahead on this one. And Jim's right, the legislature's going right with him. So I suspect, yes, there'll be some problems, but I suspect the majority of his program is going to get through.
What are some of the other issues that you see facing the governor that he's going to have to take on in this gubernatorial election year and also a legislative election year?
I think school financing is going to be the toughest problem. He has a proposal out, which I don't think most people take seriously. It would be end up cutting monies out of the urban school districts. So they're going to have a more realistic understanding of how it is we fund education. And there's going to be a national debate on school choice and things of that sort. But it's important that the governor establish a framework within which to talk about this realistically so that the next governor, who's going to have a multitude of problems, at least has a running start.
How do you deal with this kind of an issue, though, which likely he will lay out somewhat? We would expect in his budget address next month. We'll learn more details, but how will he deal with the legislature on this issue when there are a number of plans out there for school funding that will have to be reconciled?
What you should have on this one, you haven't had anything like this for years, a real bipartisan commission. And bipartisan, I mean co-chairman, co-chairwomen, Republicans and Democrats, equal numbers. That's the only way you're going to get to a good solution on this one, and I think we can do that. But again, we got to remember that there's going to be no money for the schools if we don't deal with the pension crisis. Pension crisis is going to be like Pac-Man in a budget. It's going to take money from education, institutions, and everything else, and it's going to cripple the next governor unless something is done about it.
But the difficulty in New Jersey is the fact that it is a gubernatorial-driven state. You can't wait around with the governor being passive on these issues and expect the legislature to come up with solutions that are substantial.
The governor has to lead, then, you're saying?
The governor has to lead because institutionally, the legislature is just not capable of really showing great leadership. It can digest leadership that comes in from the governor's office and then modify it, change it, and deal with it. But it has to be the governor that comes forward with the proposals.
Governor Christie has not given a press conference in a long number of months. Can that continue? Can he continue not to directly address reporters' questions?
It shouldn't continue. Whether it will continue is up to him. But I think press conferences are one of the best tools the governor has, both to answer questions but to explain his policies and what he wants to do and to answer the legislature if they're criticizing him or whatever. I frankly used to enjoy the press conferences and sort of look forward to them.
So is this a missed opportunity?
I think it is. I mean, the whole idea of building a consensus on the statewide basis flows from the press conference opportunities. And the governors can learn a lot from the press conference because the reporters are asking questions that they think reflect the public's interests. So it's not exclusively giving out information, you're also getting information, which is valuable to the governor as well.
Governors Kean and Governor Florio, thank you very much for sharing your views.
Thank you.